Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. This is Canadian Retro. I've got another pickups video for you here, some really cool stuff. A trade that I did which I'm really impressed with, a lot of cool items, and what's really neat about this is actually there's a few things that I got here that I did not have in the collection already. You know, I'm a pretty avid collector, although you can't see the games behind me because this is not my game room, that's not quite set up yet, all that stuff's in storage. But if you look at my old videos, you know I got a lot of video games, and sometimes it's kind of hard to find new stuff out there, but this time I did manage to do that, so I'm pretty pumped about that. First thing I'll get into though, here are some video game, unrelated video game finds here, but cool stuff nonetheless. So I'm going to get into this. You know that recently I've started getting back into Dungeons & Dragons, although I still not have had a session yet of that, which again, I'm being patient and hopefully that'll work out, but we'll see what happens with that. That being said, there's a couple of different groups that I'm going to be playing with. One is MC Murr. We're going to be setting up a second edition D&D games, and that, I don't know exactly when that's going to happen. We're working out the kinks and the details of that, but that is definitely going to happen at some point here, and that's going to be online because we are not local to each other. Another friend of mine who has a channel called We Roll Dice was a high school friend of mine, and we sort of reconnected very recently. I'm actually going to his wedding this weekend, and I was talking to him about Dungeons & Dragons and these types of things, and then I found these in a thrift shop, and I messaged him immediately saying, should I be picking these up or what? And he said yes, because that's the edition he plays. So after I picked these up, I started making a character for 3.5 edition. So I'll show you here which books I found from 3.5 edition. So one book I found was the Dungeons Master's Guide, and I believe in total these came to $3.99 each, so they're $4 each. Pretty awesome, in really great shape considering you know, that we would actually use this. A little dinging on the corners, but pretty nice right there. And then I also picked up the Monster Manual, so pretty sweet. There again, $3.99. And then also the I'm not even sure how to say this right, Eberron campaign setting. This one here has a little bit of damage to it. Looks like somebody may have spilled something on it. I cleaned some stuff off the top, which came off fine, but it seems like there's, I don't know if you can see it there, it's very faint, but it looks like maybe somebody spilled something like coffee or pop on it, but didn't damage any of the pages inside, so it's like pretty much otherwise fairly pristine, maybe a little bit of wear around the edges, but pretty cool nonetheless. So basically all of those cost me like, I don't know, like 12 bucks or something, I think, in total. Pretty awesome deal because I priced those out, and I think they probably ranged to about 100 bucks maybe, Canadian. If I were to have those shipped to my house, probably even a little bit more, so pretty nice find right there. That being said, I'll move on to some toys that I found, which originally offered these to J-Rock, the Game Rocker, when I found them, but apparently he already has these. But for the price I couldn't turn them down, so I decided to pick them up and I'll display them in my game room when I finally get that set up. So what they are Ghostbuster figures from the Classic Edition. Now these are from, I think, 2015 or 16. Let me just check here. These are from 2016. And so somebody donated these, and they probably got crushed at the thrift shop, like, you know, being donated or whatever, but it looks like somebody just kept them right in their boxes because they are brand new despite all that. So pretty cool. This one here is Winston, and then all four of them are here. So there's Ray, if you haven't seen that, and you can see there's a ghost figure there, so it's like their, you know, their logo. When you get all the four of these guys, you can actually take those and put them all together and make like the symbol there. So you, I don't know, you can see on the back there what it's talking about right there. So that's sort of like the like arm part of it, or like torso part of the ghost. And there's sort of that Egon, so pretty cool. And then finally Peter. So they were all four of them were there. They were marked at $6 each, and I used I'm trying to remember if it was a 30, I think I used a 30% off card on these ones, so brought the price down a little bit as well. So that was pretty nice right there. At the same time, I also found a video game which is for Macintosh. Now this is totally up for trade because I don't collect for the Mac, but it's just so cool I couldn't leave it behind. And it is The Adventures of Willy Beamish, and it's the Mac version of it. Now I tried to find this on eBay. I can't find a whole lot about this, so this might be very uncommon. I'm not sure if you guys are like Mac people, let me know, but for $3.99 I wasn't going to turn this down, absolutely not. So if you're interested in this, I mean it's kind of hefty and I'd have to ship it to you if you're not local to me, but maybe we could work something out for this if somebody's interested. I'm not really, but it was just way too cool to leave behind, and I know somebody would appreciate that. So that's that section of things. I got so many other things here to show you. One other time I was in one of the thrift shops, the Value Village, and I walked in right behind a fellow thrifter, person that I know, Nathan, and he was buying a whole bunch of different controllers. And while I was standing there, he's just like, hey man, I got a bunch of these, do you want one of these? I said sure. So he actually hooked me up with a Wii U, I believe, what is this, the Pro Controller type one? Let me just get this out of here because it doesn't need to be in the bag anymore, but you can see there it was $7, but I'll explain a little bit about that in a second. So but yeah, cool to get this one, and it's in really nice shape to say the least, so really cool find right there. And he actually found it and said, hey, I got another one of these, so do you want it? And I said sure. And then when he went to pay for it, he had a 30% off card, so I was just like, hey man, throw that in with it and I'll just pay you like the cash value of the discount kind of thing. So I got that for less. I think it was basically ended up being like $5 or something like that. Really cheap. This one, all these seem to be really strange ways that these things worked out, but I walked into one of my usual spots and I was standing there at the glass case, and a guy who doesn't really collect video games, although he will buy stuff and resell it. He's a reseller of like tons of different things. So he buys jewelry, a whole bunch of other things, but I talk to him pretty much every single time I go in there, so he's usually in there when I'm in there. He was standing next to another guy who was returning something, and I mean, he talks to every single person in the place. I've never really talked to this guy before, but he's like, he's gonna return it, and then he had the receipt with him and everything, and he turned to this, he was gonna return this game, and the guy's just like, oh, maybe he'd be interested in it. So I just paid the guy $5 cash right in the store. Kind of weird scenario. So I had the receipt and the game, but I didn't buy it from the store. I bought it from a guy who was returning it. It's kind of weird, but it's a copy of Pokemon Snap. He said his kids already had this one, so they didn't want it. I thought it was kind of interesting. For $5, I figured, hey, why not? So pick that up, and it's a really nice shape. I'll have to check it against mine when I get a chance and see if it's an upgrade from mine. And that's going to be something that'll be going into the trade pile though for sure. On another occasion, I walked into the same store and picked up a couple of DS titles. I can't turn this down, for sure not, and that is New Super Mario Bros. On the DS. This is a phenomenal game. I mean, what an amazing Mario game. And a nice manual that just fell out of there. But you can see that it's all completely complete with the codes and everything, even though those are useless now. But again, I like it. Not new for the collection. I already have this, but again, always something, you know, good to trade or sell or whatever. And this one I did not have in my collection, so I'm pretty pumped about that. And that was Star Fox Command on the DS. And again, really good. This one here, I actually recased it because the case that it was in was a little bit beat up, and you know, I have lots of different cases, so I just recased that one, and now it looks like really pristine, because otherwise everything else was perfect. It was just the original case had like a ding in there or whatever. But again, these DS games, and it seems like handheld games, are going down in price now. They're only $3 each, so really cool right there. And moving on, speaking of Mario themes, I might as well show this one as well. And that is New Super Mario Bros. On the Wii. I picked this one up for $5, so nice find as well. Again, I already have this in the collection, so that's going to go into the trade pile, but still really cool. And then this, and it has a couple of unfortunate things about it, but I couldn't leave it behind because I haven't seen a Genesis game in so long, and that's Mortal Kombat on the Genesis. But the front like casing, somebody has like cut it, or I don't know, it's like really screwed up. But otherwise, like the artwork on the cover or whatever is perfect. So I might have to check that against mine. I don't even remember if mine is. I know I have this game, but I can't remember if it's boxed or not, so I have to double check that. Unfortunately, it's also missing its manual, which is kind of a bummer, but that's the way it goes sometimes. But the cart's in pretty good shape, so there you go right there. So that one there was $5. Again, it's so hard to turn down Genesis titles that aren't sports titles when you see them in thrift shops, even if you already have them. That's the way that's going. Today, got a really good score. This is what I found, or actually, I'll get to that in a second. This is something I also found at the same time that I found Mortal Kombat, so I kind of forgot about it, but I just found it here. And that is a really odd item. I don't know a whole lot about it, but for $2 I had to pick it up. And it is a PS2 adapter of some sort to like read and format cards, and has the old style connector on it, like I think it's like 25 pin or 20 pin or something like that. I can't recall. Right there, so it plugs into like an old style computer. But yeah, so it's got like a power button here, PS2, and then it says adapter. So I'm not sure, and then it's off, so I'm not sure exactly how this functions, but you can see there's like spots there for memory cards, and one looks different than the other. So again, I really don't know a whole lot about this, but it was just way too unique, and there's no branding on it to tell me like what it is. It just says EMS on there. So I'm thinking it's some sort of card reader that looks like you can plug into your system right there, and then you can read the cards and you can put them attached to your computer. I don't really know. It's kind of strange to me, but I just couldn't leave it behind because I was just like, that's so weird. Anyway, moving on from that, now I'll get into what I found today. First thing I did, walked into one of my usual places, found this, a really good deal. For $25, I used a $5 off card, so I got a copy of Pokemon Heart Gold, but unfortunately, and of course it's in backwards here, unfortunately, it's not Heart Gold that's in there, it's Soul Silver. So, kind of weird, but I don't have either of those games, so I'm fine with that, you know, that game's in there, and the Pokewalker thing is in here, with all the cards and everything like that come into it, and everything basically is in there, other than it's the wrong game, so somebody put their Soul Silver in their Heart Gold box and then donated it. So I'm still looking for Heart Gold to complete that, but I do have Soul Silver now, which is really nice, and I do have a Pokewalker, which a little hard to find, I guess, for the most part, out in the wild these days, so kind of nice right there. And at the same time, I also got a Gamecube controller. It's one of the Smash version ones that came out, like the re-released ones, so really nice, and it's in awesome shape. Like, I usually pick up, you know, Gamecube controllers if they're a good deal and they're in good shape. This one is in the best shape I've ever seen, because obviously it's like a new style controller. Like, I've never felt a Gamecube controller that was like so tight kind of thing before, so really nice right there. Barely used, maybe a couple of scuffs on the top of it. I think I saw some there earlier, but otherwise it's like pristine. So really nice to find like basically a brand new Gamecube controller, and that was $5. But it gets even better with that. With those two items, I used the $5 off card, and then I also got $2 off because I had saved up enough points on my account there to take a couple more dollars off. So all in all, this ended up costing me, I think, like $24, and that's like taxes and everything. Really nice deal right there. If you look up the prices, it looks pretty amazing. Last thing I got here is a trade, and this is a new console. Well, I mean, kind of a new console for my collection. It's a different version of a console I already have for my collection. I don't know how to explain that. But really cool item right here. One of a longtime subscriber to my channel, Zacharry Domagas, sent me a message after one of my videos saying he has an item that I might be interested in, and I was like, well, I'm always willing to do trades, so let's see what you got. So I showed him my trade bin, like a picture of my trade bin. He went through, picked out like a variety of different titles, which I was perfectly fine with because they're all doubles of mine, and he hooked me up with a Gameboy Micro in the box. Really cool. This is the 20th anniversary edition of it, so it kind of looks like a Famicom controller. Really nice right there. The box has a few little like scuffs and things on it, but not bad at all, and it's totally complete inside. I don't really want to open it up here just for fear of damaging the box. Like, I want to take more care with it rather than doing it in a video, but really nice right there. It works, powers on, it's beautiful. Never had one of these, never found one in the wild yet. So when he offered me that deal, I could not turn it down. So now I have a nice Game Boy box to or Game Boy Micro rather, to put in my collection. So really pleased with that. Awesome trade. Got to meet him in person for the first time. We met up at a mall that's kind of local. I was actually on my way back to my hometown when we did a trade, so it worked out really nice for me because I could just stop in off the highway at this mall we met up with. I got to hang out with him for a little bit. We did the trade. Really cool, and a huge supporter of the channel, so thanks again, Zacharry, for the deal on that, because you know, otherwise I probably would have never seen it in my life. So that's everything I got for you this time around. Thanks again for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Feel free to thumbs up this video, comment down below, and I'll see you all later.